Welcome. This is the CXR Recruiting Community Podcast, where we bring together TA leaders to just kind of talk about what's going on in their space, kind of their headspace, what excites them about the industry, and of course the event, if they want to chat a little bit about that today. Shaker Recruitment Marketing has been kind enough to sort of sponsor a place for us to sit down and catch up, which is much more comfortable than standing around the stages and chatting. I've got with me today Steve White. Steve, give us kind of a escalator pitch. Who's Steve White? Like, what are you doing now? Because you got a big change.
Yeah, I have had a big change. So currently, most recently, I've shifted over to become the head of talent acquisition for Sam's Club.
Yeah.
So I'm part of the Walmart enterprise, reporting up to Rob Doherty, who's a fantastic TA leader, who's a VP of the enterprise over at Walmart. Super excited about what's ahead within the Walmart enterprise and what we're able to do for Sam's Club. Sam's Club is a phenomenal organization that I'm excited to be a part and ready to drive some change for our TA organization and for the org as a whole. So,
and this is fresh, like
a month in.
Yeah,
barely a month in. So I was just telling Chris, I was like, I barely know how to spell Sam's Club. I don't want to say that too often anymore. But
well, I think they give you another 30 days.
Yeah.
And then you're off. No more shiny penny. You got to dive in.
You're not new anymore.
Yeah, that's right. This is it. You're seasoned. You're seasoned as it gets at this point, right?
Exactly.
All right. So we've got a couple questions actually we put together.
Cool.
That we think are kind of interesting, but we do tend to veer off a little bit. It's like attention deficit. Hey, look, a squirrel.
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. If we do it, we do it. It'll be fine. This is interesting because we were just talking yesterday a little bit about what's going on the floor, what the topics of discussion are, and kind of what you're seeing when you're talking to these other leaders. Is there a piece of advice, kind of based on what you've seen so far and the discussions you've had, that you would give to another TA leader as they're kind of looking to come up on the middle of the year and round the year out and believe it or not, start planning for 26 already?
I think a couple of things I would think about, right? The first thing is, for me, the most important, which is like, how embedded are we in the business? How focused are you on the business's goals? And not just understanding what they are, but like truly aligning our TA goals or TA strategy to what the business strategy is. So much so that like we should be able to set our own OKRs to what the business goals are eventually, right? So I'd like to see that happen, and a shift that happens in our space because we're so ingrained and aligned with what's happening in the business. I think that's really important. I also think that, there's a lot of talk about AI. I think it's really important. It's obviously really critical. There's a lot of change happening. It's necessary. And we need to continue to focus on, like, how do we drive our processes? How do we ensure that we're not adding AI to bad processes, right? To bad culture, to bad ways of working. So we're ensuring that the AI that we're adding to the organization ends up being more than additive. It's exponential, right? It changes our organizations in the right way.
So what I hear, Steve, a little bit is it's not the adding of technology or and broadly, right? More broadly, solutions for the sake of the solutions, and trying to align them with the business needs,
right?
Not just the TA needs,
right?
Broader business.
The business needs. Like, how are we adding solutions that actually drive the business forward? So not just myopically focused on, like, this is a need that we can transactionally input to fix one problem in TA, but like, what are some of the things that we could do to really like drive the business forward? That solutions that can really help, that could potentially help our end users, our customers, our shareholders, whatever, from a bottom line perspective.
Yeah. Now, I've known you for a number of years.
Yes, sir.
Really gotten to know you pretty well the last 2 or 3 years, and I just adore the work that you do and the mindset that you kind of approach this stuff at. So let me ask you a question based on your experience, and I think a lot of TA leaders will going to appreciate your kind of take on this. Is how do you become ingrained in the business in that way? It's easy to come into TA and say, look, we're going to implement this technology, we're going to change this out, and we're going to update these processes. But how do you, as a TA leader, form those partnerships? How do you kind of get to be that business partner that so many of us, strive to be?
I think it starts with curiosity, right? Like, what questions are we asking? How curious are we about the business leaders that we're working with and supporting? or I shouldn't say supporting, partnering with. It's a partnership, right?
Okay.
And so I hate the word supporting right now because I feel like we make ourselves small too often in TA when we're working with certain business leaders, especially depending on the title and their rank in the organization.
Yeah.
And so being curious about what's going on in their space, in their world, building those relationships, asking them to participate or attend their staff meetings, right? Like creating a business plan around like what's happening, a TA or talent business plan around what's happening in their business, what goals they have, what strategies they're employing for the year. And then letting them know up front that like talent acquisition or talent is not going to lead our conversation. Like your business strategy, what you're doing from a business perspective is going to be our main focus. Talent's going to be at best secondary.
I love that.
And some leaders get a little like taken back by it. Some leaders get excited about it, but like, let's push that back because oftentimes people are like with talent acquisition, they're like, I'll call you when I need you.
Yeah. Yeah. Order taker. Yep.
We've got to get past that, right? Like, no, don't call me when you need me. Like I'm going to be here. I'm going to be a part of your team. And I think that's where the magic happens. That's where we really start to win.
I love the call out of support versus partnership. And I really love, I think what you're saying is like, there's this leading with inquiry element when you go into that with any line of business.
Yes, sir.
Across the board. And that's fantastic. I love it. Okay. Talent attraction strategy. Now I know you're coming in new to Sam, so you're still, like I said, shiny penny. So you're in evaluation mode a little bit of time, right? You got to, once you figure out how to spell Sam's, I think the next thing you're gonna be kind of digging in a little bit. Yeah. But how will you determine or assess, if you will, kind of what that talent attraction strategy is and how you might pivot that or double down? Yeah.
So I think it's the two things, right? Like thinking about, of course, the EVP.
Yep.
So what's our value proposition all up as an organization? So, and then considering, how do we shape that? How do we really tell the message around our employer brand to really attract the right people to the organization that are really going to help that business strategy? But then there's also the MVP portion of it, the micro value proposition piece, right? That is like specific to each role, to each function, to each group. That's very, very, and even each leader that an individual will be working for, that's very, very important. And I think it's not to be overlooked. So really considering like the EVP is important, but the MVP is super critical, right? To understand.
You don't hear a lot of people talking about an MVP.
We have to.
Right, at all. Would it be your take, Steve, that it's almost like, you remember years ago, there was this term, glocal. Right. So big organizations were saying it's going to be 80% this across the board and then 20% you can localize.
Right.
Is it the same approach? Would you change the ratio?
I think it's different. I think it has to be like, this is going to sound crazy. I think it has to be like a 100 approach, right? Okay. So it's a clear focus on what the EVP is. So we can't discount that, but you also can't discount what the MVP is. And the MVP is really, really important to the individuals coming into the company or to that role or working for that leader. So they're both equally important.
Yeah.
So I know people would say, well, that's 50-50. I'm like, well, no, we need to make sure we put 100% focus on the EVP and really drive that in the right way. And then ensure that we're crafting the right MVP, understanding like what type of person is going to work well in this role. Who's this leader? Like, what does it mean to work for this individual? What is it like? What value is this person going to get out of this role? What value are they going to drive for the organization? Those things are really critical, and we have to really sell that in the right way in partnership or in conjunction with the overall EVP.
And it's almost like the EVP is, at that point, if you're getting that level of customization by line of business or by leader, you're talking about moving the EVP into almost like a touchstone.
Yeah.
Like this is how we focus. This is that co-promise we make. This is that delivery and that marketing. As long as it aligns with, right? As long as we know this is our North Star.
Absolutely. And then we've got to get more leaders, right, out in front of the talent. And so like there are leaders in our organization who need to be out front on LinkedIn or wherever messaging. And we've talked about this for so many years, but we have to get them out in front of the talent to be able to share, like, who are you? What does it mean to work for you? What is this position? What value does this position add to the organization? to this section or segment of the business, those things are important. And so really, really, really engaging the leaders and ensuring that the leaders are engaging with the talent. I think that's really important.
I can't wait to circle back with you in about a 90-day window to kind of see how that's really mindful approach with that leading it with inquiry, with that co-promise yourself. I can't wait to see how that's
I'm excited about it.
And driven. I think Rob's the best, one of the best to be able to partner with and do that.
100%. 100%. I'm super excited to be able to partner with Rob on that, learn from him too, in that way. So
yeah, it's good stuff. Well, look, see, we're asking everybody this. You've been on the show. We've done before. If you were going to write a book, and man, I think you got a book in you. I've told you this before. I think I'm counting.
Oh, man.
5 years, man. You got a heck of a book in you. But if you're going to write a book about kind of what you're seeing and in the space today, and maybe even in your current decision to make such a kind of bold transition and move to Bentonville and pick your family up, what would the title of the book be?
Oh my gosh. The last time we talked about this, it was relationships, results, readiness, right? I think I've shifted. I would shift that now to really think about like that something related to culture. And I don't have a title right now, but I think, or I'd say think and act, right? And so like, I want to shape, I think it's so important from a leadership perspective and tying it into talent acquisition, like, what are we thinking about? How are we thinking? How are we engaging in the organization? So, the way we think and the way we act. So, the curiosity, the partnership, the talent attraction, the culture, the way we show up on a regular basis, is so important. Like, not making ourselves small, right, in front of, with leaders. And so I think think and act probably needs some work, but
it's a working title.
Yeah, it's a working title.
I love it.
But I mean, culture is really important to me, right? Yeah. So when I think about leadership and I think about our space too, I think that there's some a lot of opportunity, right, for culture transformation, for culture change, for a lift within our TA space. And so how we think and act is very, very important to how we show up and how we really drive our business forward. I always say, in talent acquisition, we catalyze the growth and transformation in the companies we work for. If people are the greatest asset, then, we're responsible for how the company thrives. Yeah. The inverse is true too, right? So if we're not doing our job well.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, you're definitely not wrong.
That's a challenge. So how we show up as a team really changes how the entire company is shaped. So
I love it. Well, who gets the first signed copy?
Always Taj, my wife.
I love that.
She's the smartest person in our family. She's really phenomenal, and she's been uber supportive. And I mean, she's taken a journey right to Bentonville. She's been really supportive of everything that we're doing. And so, so it has to be her.
Oh, you're a smart man.
Then you, Chris.
Well, if you need anybody to help with like the forward, I'll happily help.
I need help with everything. Obviously, the title, the forward, some of the other concepts. Yeah.
Oh man, that's great. Well, look, I think we have a panel later, so I'm super stoked to kind of do that. We're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
I'm excited.
I hope. Is there anything, you don't have to name names? Is there anything you've seen on the floor that's kind of exciting, or maybe? I know AI is everywhere, or claims to be everywhere. Is there anything you've seen that's kind of exciting?
Match 2 is the most exciting thing I think I've seen because I think one of the critical things in our space right now is candidate experience. Right, it's been critical, but I think it's even more so. Right, with AI being more infused in the space or across the world, the candidate experience is so important, and what they're doing with that, like. Showing like we see candidate matches with the advancement of AI. Yeah. We've seen it for a while, but of course it's gotten better now. For the candidates to be able to see how they match to a job is revolutionary, I think. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about what Match 2 is doing, how that's going to impact internal mobility as well as external hiring as well. So
I love it. Well, and you've got that mad scientist, Doug Berg, matched up with that operational genius.
In Elaine.
You got Elaine over there. So I think it's going to be fun to watch.
It's an amazing team.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for sitting down with us.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's an honor.
Love it. Anytime.
Always an honor.
Anytime. All right. So past, future episodes, you can catch us out at CareerXroads.work/podcast. And we try to do this weekly, but when we're on the road, we jam a whole bunch of them in. So We hope you join us next time. And once again, thanks for Shaker for giving us a spot to sit down and catch up. Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.